Is there a realistic chance that we see significant price drops between now and the end of 2023 in the San Diego real estate market? Let's talk about that in this video. And welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris Erickson with the Beach Life Group right here in San Diego. And if you guys like what you see in this video, just throw a quick thumbs up. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed and helped grow this community so far. And as we're going through, as we get to the end of the video, if you do have questions, be sure to hit us up. All of our information is right down below. We got your back when making the move here in San Diego. So the October numbers are out for the county of San Diego. Today we're doing the full county. If you go into different cities, if you've seen other videos, we dive into each significant city, dive into the city of San Diego, North County, all of the different little areas as well. Today is all of the county of San Diego, so we're taking all into account. And the numbers are somewhat surprising. We've basically held status quo for the past few months. We're going to get into the significant numbers that we're seeing out there and show you what numbers are important so that you know what is going on in the San Diego real estate market. So here are the year-over-year numbers for all of San Diego. We're starting with the sales volume, the number of closed sales that did occur. And I'm going to compare it to last year, just so you get some comparison. When you are seeing news articles, a lot of times they're comparing it to last year. Sometimes it's month over month. So what happened from last month into this month, I'll show you some of that as well. And then I'm going to give you some insight into what is a typical year, because these last few years have been significantly down. So jumping into the number of sales here between October 2022 and October of 2023, you can see we've had just about a 10% change. And now this number is important because the number of sales, how fast homes are selling, or the volume of homes that are selling rather, it's a really good indicator of how much demand is out there. Now, typically in a normal year, I'm going to go back to kind of that 2019 timeframe before the 2020 madness, 2021 all started. So if we hop back into October of 2019, which I don't have up here, but the number was over 3,000 sales. So we're nearly 50% down from that. Now, when you hear there's a crash in the real estate market, sometimes they are talking about crash in the number of transactions, so the number of sales out there. And that's definitely what we're seeing. While there still are people moving, there's still active homes coming on the market, the number of homes sold total is down significantly. The next one is new listings. This goes into how many people are actually selling their home. And this number is very low compared to previous times as well. So even going into October of 2022 compared to October of 2023, we are down 20.4%. And this story will go into a little bit of that average price, as you see down below, and why prices are holding steady. And this number is even more drastic comparing it to 2019. The number of new listings in October was over 4,000. So we're over 60% down from that. And now typically as we go into these winter months or the latter part of the year, October, November, December, this number will continue to fall. But comparing to where it was in a normal year of 2019, it is well down. And now active listings is one of the more important numbers, I think, in this chart, comparing October of 2022, where we had just over 5,800 active listings, comparing it to October of 2023, we have just over 3,000 active listings, so down 46%. But if you look back at 2019, which is a level that I would say, if we do start approaching this level, which was over 9,000, that is a time where we can potentially see some price reductions. Well, we're already seeing price reductions, but actually prices moderating a little bit from where they are. Prices are still holding fairly strong right now, and a lot of that story is due to the number of active homes coming on the market. While a lot of buyers have stepped back a little bit from the market due to the higher interest rates, there are still buyers in the market. The competition is not as great, so you're not seeing as many multiple offer situations, but there are still people actively looking even right now. And now the number of homes that they can look at is about a third of what they were in 2019. If we do start approaching that number, then we will, like I said, potentially see some price drops. An average price going from October 2022, we are just over $1 million. Going into October 2023, we're up nearly 10%. Once again, that story being there is still demand. So we go back to the frenziness of 2022, there was this many buyers and this many listings. Now there are this many buyers and this many listings. So the prices are continuing to hold strong even when there are less homes being sold. And you can go back to average days on market, the DOM, days on market. Back in October 2022, this is when the market started to freeze. This is when interest rates were above 7%. Now they've touched 8%. They've come back down a little bit since then in October 2023. But last year when that did happen, the market froze. There was very few homes selling. They were taking longer to sell. You could see 28 days, which isn't a long time in the long run, but since it's dropped 25% in 2023, down to 21 days. Even homes that are on the market with the limited buyer demand, they are going under contract fairly quickly. Now, here's the story in San Diego County for the average sales price, starting right around $1 million in January, dropped down a little bit in February, and then we've been over that $1 million mark since then. In a typical year, starting in this September, October range, you will see the average sales price start dropping down. That's a little bit of seasonality. Last year, it was very significant where we did have a big drop off coming right here. But this year, you can see it's still holding pretty strong. And part of the reason, back to the number of buyers out there, we're still in a somewhat of a seller's market. Now, we're starting to skew a little bit, going into some areas into a little bit more of a buyer's market. And the last video we made was actually breaking down 3 different areas. So we had a high-end area where we are a lot more skewed to a buyer's market. We had a middle tier area, kind of that move up buyer situation where you're selling one house and moving to the other. That neighborhood was sitting almost in a balanced market where it wasn't heavily skewed towards buyers and it wasn't heavily skewed towards sellers. And then in that entry level or that lower price point, so underneath the median price of a home here in San Diego, that is where we are still skewed a little bit towards a seller's market. Now, not as aggressive as last year where there was 5, 10, 15 offers on a property, but there is still higher demand in those price points. And hopping into this chart, the months of inventory, it's basically a measure of, are we in a balanced market? Are we more skewed towards sellers or are we more skewed towards buyers? Now, just for some context, last year it did dip below this 1 month mark, which is going to be a heavy seller's market. Anytime it gets this low, there is strong buyer demand. There are houses going multiple offers. That's what I just discussed. But you can see we have gone up a little bit since then. So the beginning of the year, we were about 1.6, dropped down to 1.5 for a little bit. You haven't seen a significant change in this. We've been pretty flat for the past 4 or 5 months. So until this number starts creeping up, a few things that will help it creep up is more new listings and less buyers out there. So there's a few different factors that can cause this to go up. If there's more homes coming on the market with the same number of buyers we do have right now, we will still start building inventory, or this number will start skewing a little bit towards the buyers. If we have more buyers come to the market, if interest rates drop down significantly or even just a little bit, I think people are reacting more to the change in interest rates as opposed to the actual number. So if they go up a lot of buyers will sit on the sidelines. If we see it skewed down, which we did in the last week or so, a lot more buyers will hop into the market, seeing it as the opportunity to buy. But until this number, traditionally throwing it back to 2019, this number was about double of where it is right now. So into that 3 months supply of inventory. And most consumers don't care about month supply of inventory, yada, yada, but it's a good gauge of how active the market is as far as supply and demand, how many buyers are out there, how many sellers. Just the lower this number goes, the more skewed we are towards sellers. The higher this number goes, the more buyers have the upper hand. Now let's talk about sales volume, the number of closed sales as it says up here. And this trend is fairly normal where we start the year in January a bit slow. We kind of ramp up into March, had a little dip in April, and then this is our typical home selling season when we do have the most amount of buyers and sellers out there. August, we did have a significant month compared to, I mean, it was just about as much as May, but we do typically see this tail off going into September, October. November and December are usually well below this as well. But comparing it to, let's call it a somewhat normal year where we do have the traditional amount of homes sold. So right now, we are historically low. This would go all the way up to about 3,500, maybe 4,000 in the summertime months. So it would be a much higher graph if you took this and basically doubled it. That's what we would see in a normal year. So coming back to the question, are we going to see significant price changes here in San Diego through the end of 2023? We might see a typical seasonal drop off going into November and December. Coming into the new year, that is when things will give us a much better story. If we go off traditional times, when we did have higher sales, we did have kind of a more balanced market. A lot of times in San Diego, we are a lot of times skewed towards a seller's market anyways, but it's not as aggressive as it has been over the past few years. So a few things to take into account to see what if we do see those price changes. I'm not thinking we're seeing a significant price drop. We have seen a price moderation over the past few months, and I would expect that to continue into the new year. If rates do drop down, which we've seen the 10-year treasury, which does affect, or it kind of correlates real nicely to what mortgage rates are, has dropped down off of its highs over these past few days, maybe a week or two. Then if that drops down, mortgage rates will drop down a little bit and more buyers will jump back into the market. If we don't see more homes come on the market, then prices are going to accelerate again. On the other hand, if we see interest rates hold steady where they are, go up a little bit, and more buyers sit on the sidelines where we have our January, February, March, that's when the selling season ramps up. So expect to see more homes come on the market traditionally during that time anyways. So if more homes come on the market with less buyers, then we can see a moderation in prices. And so what we're seeing out in the market right now with buyers and sellers. Right now, if sellers are in the mindset of let's price our home aggressively and looking back to maybe they had somebody they knew that sold last year or the previous year, talking about what they experienced. That experience is a lot different now, especially coming into the new year. So we're seeing success with clients who are pricing their home right on the sell side. Obviously, preparation, getting the home market ready is super important because if there are more competition or more homes coming on the market in the new year, the better your home stands out compared to what other homes are in your neighborhood on the market, the more money you're going to get for your home. And I don't really know where coming into January, February, March of next year, where the buyers are going to be. So we're going to keep you updated on this channel, let you know what we're seeing out there in the market as we're working with buyers and with sellers. So if you guys are thinking about making the move in 2024 and you got some more questions on your specific situation, like I said, reach out, book your discovery call right down below, and you can hop on with me and Cassidy, the other guy you might see on this channel here sometimes. But hit us up. We got your back when making the move here in San Diego.